Agents of the Ukrainian and Crimean Tatar military movement, Atesh, reported a successful sabotage on the railway, which they carried out against the Russian military-industrial complex in the Samara region. This branch is strategic, as the occupiers use it to transport cargo for defense industry enterprises. The partisan movement reported this on its Telegram channel. The Partisans also released a corresponding video. According to the organization, their agents destroyed a relay box on a railway section near Samara. The explosion delayed the movement of freight trains heading towards the industrial zone where the Novokuybyshevsk Petrochemical Company, which produces components for explosives, is located. Atesh reminded that this facility had previously been hit by the Ukrainian Defense Forces, and the Partisans intensified this effect. The Partisans also emphasized that Russian military-industrial complex enterprises that provide for the needs of the Russian occupation army will remain legitimate targets for them. The consequences for them will be increasingly severe, and we recommend that employees look for new jobs before it's too late. It's better to join our movement and help our cause from the inside so you can accelerate the fall of Putin's criminal regime and receive a worthy reward for your struggle, the Atesh Partisans urged. Recently, Atesh guerrillas carried out sabotage in the Krasnodar territory of the Russian Federation. They burned down a cell tower that provided communications to several military units. Also, thanks to the Partisans, the transport fleet of the Russian armed forces has been reduced. This tower, the movement claims, provided communications to several military units in the area, as well as logistical hubs leading to Anapa and the Crimean Bridge. Our agents acted quickly and clearly. Not only the transformers were destroyed, but also all the equipment that was inside the protected perimeter. It will take at least a month to fully restore the facility, and the Russian military in this area will have to use alternative means of communication, which, as we know, are not available in all units, Atesh noted. Earlier, Atesh agents struck the logistics of the occupiers in the south of the Russian Federation and in the Zaporizhia region. They were able to disrupt the logistics of the Russian troops in the south of the Russian Federation and the captured part of the Zaporizhia region. The Partisans set fire to several objects on the railway to make it difficult for the occupiers to transport goods. After almost 4 years of full-scale war, Russia has found itself in a situation that its own propaganda calls a trap. Z commentators admit that the initially proclaimed Putin's cunning plan has turned into Zelensky's cunning plan. Russian Z patriot Maxim Kalashnikov spoke quite frankly about the deplorable situation of the Russian Federation. He stated that Ukraine will not give up the remnants of its Donetsk region to Russia. And this is a network of fortified cities, the capture of which the Russian army will spend many years and a huge number of lives of its soldiers. Look, at the moment of negotiations, the main efforts are concentrated on winning back these 36% of the rest of the Donetsk region, and there are 12 more fortified cities. Slavyansk, Kramatorsk. Summer is ending. It is clear that there will be no major offensive of the Russian armed forces. Near Pokrovsk, they cannot close this encirclement, take the Ukrainian armed forces into a cauldron. Instead of closing this cauldron, they rushed north from Pokrovsk. What did they achieve? The Ukrainian armed forces did not lose control there. There was no collapse of the front there. They stopped this breakthrough. It is clear that any of these resistance nodes in the Donbass will have to be taken for a long time and painfully. The battles for Pokrovsk lasted for more than a year and are still going on. There is still butting for Volchansk, and there are terrible losses there, Kalashnikov complained. He came to the conclusion that with this war, Russia had fallen into a trap. The situation is developing in a very unpleasant way for us. This is Zelensky's cunning plan. Now we see the clearly outlined plan of this KVN player. He is a smart man. He has a clearly outlined plan to get money from Europe, to buy weapons from America, and to prolong the hostilities. And while Russia is fighting, a fierce economic crisis will rage in its rear. Production will begin to decline. Enterprises will close. Cities and regions will be ruined. Masses of unemployment. A crisis of non-payments. Non-payment of taxes to the treasury. Russia will lose the ability to fight and will ask for peace itself. There is nowhere to go. And Zelensky will be the winner. And it does not matter that it is not on the battlefield. He admitted. Even supporters of the war in Russia essentially confirm that a protracted standoff plays into Ukraine's hands. Zelensky's plan is not only to hold the front, but also to exhaust Russia from within, forcing the Kremlin to capitulate under the weight of internal crisis. A powerful explosion occurred on the Ryazan-Moscow main oil pipeline in the Ryazan region, which led to the suspension of oil product deliveries to the Russian capital. This was reported by Ukrainian media with reference to sources in the main intelligence directorate of the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. According to sources, a major fire broke out after the explosion at a section of the pipeline near the village of Bozatkovo, with firefighters, police and repair crews arriving at the scene. Local residents report extensive damage, a protected area and closed access to the accident site. According to the main intelligence directorate, the pipeline has been used by Transneft since 2018 to transport motor gasoline, including for the needs of the Russian army. After the explosion, fuel pumping towards Moscow was suspended for an indefinite period. The Ryazan-Moscow main oil product pipeline leads directly to the territory of the Moscow oil refinery in Kapotnya, the capital of the Russian Federation. About 197 kilometers long, it is designed to transport oil products from the Ryazan region to Moscow. Along the way, it passes through the Moscow region, including the regions of Leninsky and Ramensky districts, then enters the capital's Kapotnya district and approaches the MNPZ. This pipeline is one of the key links in Moscow's fuel supply. The explosion has interrupted the transportation of oil products to the capital, and Moscow's energy system may face disruptions in the near future. This is not the first attack on Russian oil infrastructure in recent weeks. Oil refineries in the Volgograd, Rostov and Samara regions, as well as fuel depots in the Krasnodar region, were damaged. Ukraine also disabled the Druzhba oil pipeline by blowing up pumping stations. The Ukrainian side views all these attacks as a response to Russia's constant attacks on Ukrainian energy and civilian infrastructure. The Russian army, including aviation and equipment in the southern direction, depend on uninterrupted fuel supplies. Damage to pipelines and refineries could eventually cause supply disruptions, reduce mobility, and affect the logistics of the Russian armed forces. For the civilian sector, this means increased tension in major cities, including Moscow.